So we're going to talk about Volume 4 overall. Like a kind of general review. Got the whole world in our hands. Yes. This is a good start.
Solid start.
Solid start. So I think if we go from character to character, that'll probably be the best way. So let's start with the obvious RWBY. Let's start with RWBY if we go in order.
Ruby Rose.
So she starts. We join her in episode 1 with Team Ranger. And they're basically just fighting a Grim for most of that episode.
Yeah.
And John gets some nice new armor courtesy of dead Pyrrha. Yeah. And then after that, they do a whole lot of walking.
Mm-hmm.
Bump into a certain drunk bird. Fight some creepy Scorpion McGee's and some creepy Grim McGee's, and then end up in Haven. And there's a plot summary for RWBY's entire arc.
Pretty much. Well, I like.
What was your favourite thing about RWBY's? What was your favourite thing in RWBY's arc in this particular volume? Or favourite scene, even?
Do I even have one? I don't know. I always like the fact that RWBY's like the innocent and
Sorry, this is a very serious review.
Like the innocent, but yet like very energetic, and I think she lost that in this series. And
but she had to. I feel like
she did. She definitely.
She watched
did.
2 of her friends die in front of her eyes.
Yeah, like she's obviously not the same person she was before.
Yeah.
But in a way, I sort of miss the old.
Sure.
I miss the old RWBY.
Straight from Patch RWBY. What? Okay.
Yeah, and I sort of miss that RWBY. I want I'm interested to see where that continues.
Yeah, I feel like it was far more realistic though. The RWBY's worldview was so naive.
Mm-hmm. And no, I think her entire arc was summarized in the monologue.
Yeah, which is a bit weird though. Like you shouldn't have. I don't know. I don't feel like you should be able to like sum up an entire arc in a monologue. That just seems a bit insane. I don't know. Like there was moments where we've seen like RWBY's like inner turmoil. There was obviously that scene with Jean where she's like blames herself for everything that happened and for dragging them along.
But also all that stuff with Pyrrha, like in her dreams.
Yeah, but then I also thought that was a bit weird because, well, just from if we're going with like what they have shown us in the program, then RWBY had very little interaction with Pyrrha, but she had a lot of interaction with Penny. Like Penny was her best friend. And I feel like if she was going to suffer from... Because she's seen both of them die.
Yeah.
If she was going to suffer from either of their deaths, I feel like it should have been Penny's more. Not that I'd have anything against Pyrrha. Obviously, Jean was closer to Pyrrha. But then I feel like they just kind of were like, oh, let's have them both be really sad over Pyrrha just so that we can... It makes it slightly easier, I guess, in writing and whatnot. Instead of having them both suffering over... mourning over different people. I don't know.
There is always that theory that I've heard that she has like a bit of Pyrrha's aura.
Oh yeah, because she was the last person. Yeah.
But I don't know where or when I heard that. But like
she sucked it in.
Like,
sucked in the dust. Yeah. Although interesting theory. Just I'm gonna jump somewhere else entirely for a second.
Go for it.
The Cinder has a bit of Pyrrha's aura.
That's more sort of understandable because she sort of came in, she interrupted the whole aura mixing.
Yeah.
You know?
And the fact that Cinder's kind of having second thoughts, it's like, oh, maybe there's like the same way that Oscar has Ozpin's voice in the back of his head, maybe she's got Pyrrha's voice in the back of her head, but maybe not quite as prominent, who knows? I don't know, it'd be pretty interesting, because I feel like if Ozpin is still knocking about, it's a bit unfair that Pyrrha's not in some capacity.
I'm waiting for Penny 2.0.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get it anytime soon. Because Atlas is going to fall. But that's a Volume 5 prediction video.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I want the return of Penny.
Yeah, same. I really miss Penny.
But Penny's dank.
No.
Combat ready.
She is combat ready. But
my throat is destroyed from saying "oh no" so many times.
Well, let's jump onto Weiss then.
Oh no!
Fucking stop it! You just peaked that so much. My favourite arc of the entire volume was Weiss's.
Yeah.
It was the most perfectly done and executed, and just from any perspective. There was a very clear, distinct goal with hers, which was to get out of Atlas.
Yeah.
And, like, they kept to that the whole time. It was just, like, kind of build up from, like, her getting there to being shut down by her dad and stuff and had been forced to do the concert. And then her dad hitting her for her reaction after the concert and summoning. And then getting out. Like, it was a very, very clear arc, and it really, really explains why Weiss was the way she was. Like, we kind of always suspected it the later you get into the show, but it totally confirmed, like, it's so much more understandable why she has the worldview she does in Volume 1 and why she acts the way she does. And it also makes you realise just how much Team RWBY's the relationship she had with them would have actually really meant to her.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, it gives you so much backstory to her, like with Shitley and her dad, and how they're actually quite tight with Ironwood and all that good stuff.
Yeah, like that she would have obviously known Ironwood previously before he came to Beacon and whatnot.
And also, like, there was that line that was like, "You've already taken one daughter" or something.
Yeah, but Winter.
And it's like, showing your true thoughts there.
Yep. Yeah.
Papa Schnee.
But then he doesn't really care about, like, he doesn't care.
He cares about the name.
Yeah, he cares about the name of the family. He doesn't care about who particularly is carrying it, as long as they're carrying it in the same way that he wants, which is obviously what Whitley appears to be the best candidate for that, whereas Weiss was going to totally overhaul everything.
I would love it if Whitley grew up and then just, like, smoted
his dad.
Smoted him.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be a weird turn of events, but I do want Weiss to be the one to take it back somehow. I don't know how her and Winter in some way. But yeah, her stuff was definitely my favourite. Some of the lines that she had, especially when she was calling out the people at the party, made me so happy. Just to see that turn in character. Yeah, well done, Weiss. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. Like, genuinely, hers was the best arc of the season. And I can't wait to hear her full song on the Volume 4 soundtrack, because it's a dank song. So yeah, we'll move on swiftly from Weiss to one of the weird, probably my least favourite arc of the entire volume was this one here.
Yeah.
Which is such a shame, because it was set up so well at the end of Volume 3.
Yeah.
And I feel like she almost tread over old ground in terms of of learning to not run away sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she'd already kind of learned that lesson in Volume. Obviously, it wasn't as extreme, but in Volume 1, she runs away from the team, and obviously they're like, yeah, you need to talk to us and stuff like that. It felt like I kind of repeated that arc. I really liked her parents. Her parents and her ears were one of the best things in the volume. But that's kind of separate from her entire arc, because her ear animation made me very happy. It's like a new character. I love her parents though.
Yeah, her parents are cool. I just wish they weren't the leaders or the ex-leaders. I think that
the White Fang.
That sort of it sort of makes yet another one of them. I've talked about this.
Yeah, we have. Let's not go into too much of it.
It would have been nice to see her come from literally
nothing.
Go back to Menagerie with a normal family, and then want to take back
the White Fang.
The White Fang.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I think that would have been really nice.
Yeah. But no, her stuff was my least favorite because she just didn't do much. Like I mean, the volume wasn't too action heavy, which I'm fine with. But her plot never really progressed much. It took us a long time to actually get to that point where she was like admitted to everything that was going on internally. Yeah. But that was really late on.
Just as it was about to happen, Sun fell through the door.
Yeah, and then it took us another 3 episodes to actually get to that point again. Yeah. Although still, weirdly enough, it's one of my favourite scenes, like probably I don't know if it is my exact favourite scene in the volume, was one of Blake's scenes, even though it wasn't my favourite arc, was the one where Sun does just call her out on her destructive behaviour. It's like you don't get to choose how your friends protect you and stuff like that. Like, if we want to protect you, then we're going to protect you because we actually give a shit. And then also her line afterwards about it, we're not going to destroy the White Fang, we're going to take it back. That was a good line.
It's so cliche though.
Yeah, I know, but I don't particularly care in that scenario.
Yeah.
It was a nice moment. And did maybe get me pumped up. I was just like, yes. It was what needed to happen. Like,
definitely, yeah.
Like, nice.
I'm surprised that Adam wasn't there.
Yeah, I always was expecting him to show up at some point to just fuck everything up, but he never did.
Yeah, it was just the sort of... It was the way he's very much in the start of it.
Yeah, he's like in the
very
opening
much in
and
the
stuff.
opening, and you're just like, where you at?
Where you at,
where
Adam?
you at?
Where you at, you dick?
You dip.
I'm gonna get you. Yeah. So that Blake's stuff was a bit kind of hit and miss at times. I still liked it, but it was my least favourite. Now Yang, we'll move on to this little schmeckle.
Well, I enjoyed Yang quite a bit, but
she got very little screen time.
Yes.
Which I think really, I feel like I'm just criticising so heavily here. Like, I freaking love Yang and stuff, but yeah, her recovery I feel like would have been better rewarded if we'd seen it more. Even if it's not the most interesting thing to watch in the world, it would have been nice to see it more, because we kind of, when you think about it, and I know they don't have much time in the episodes, but you have like this third and fourth episode, we see her and she's really sad and stuff, and by the end of the fourth episode, I think she puts on the arm. That's only two episodes. We actually see her kind of depressed, and then when we come back to her, she's training.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh, she's okay now. Like,
it was very fast, and it was also very. Yeah. It was very.
I get it. There's time constraints and whatnot, but that's why I'm hoping that in Volume 5 there is like an indication that she's not 100%. Because
you need growth. You can't just go like from one state to another.
I think the worst thing was because it was the arc I was looking forward to the most, because of what happened at the end of Volume 3, and I was like, oh shoot, man, she's like in the lowest she can be. Like, this will be such a good journey to see her go from that to however she's going to be at the end of the volume.
I don't think they really didn't actually fulfill that sort of, yes, this is going to be a great journey for this character. It was really just right, she has to be depressed at the start and she has to be alright at the end, let's just do it. It wasn't like, what happens to Yang in between.
Because it was weird, because they wrote it really well very initially, like that very first scene that we see her in, where she's like totally down and she's like really distant and not engaged in anything, and then when she drops the glass and she has like that fear.
So the same episode when she sweeps and then puts it against the
and you can see she's coping. You're like a bit physically, she's trying to cope, sort of thing.
And like she uses it a wee bit, like tucks mail underneath it, and it's like
which was really nicely done. Like
I did like that bit. It was like I think that's quite a nice representation of her coming to terms with it and trying to survive without the arm.
Like eventually she was always going to put on the arm because she needs to be able to fight. Like,
I would love it if she wasn't a fighter anymore, actually.
Oh, really?
I would love it.
I feel like it's so in her blood, though, because she is a mama bird, but like she needs to protect the people she cares about, and you kind of in this world need to be able to fight to do that. Like, you need to be strong.
I just think it would be nice to see her become a political figure.
Oh yeah, I guess.
And sort of,
I feel like Blake's gonna go more that way than any of them. To be honest, like she'll become the kind of political figure. Maybe I think Yang will become a teacher by the end of it, like, which would be kind of nice because she's obviously got all that experience. But it was a bit kind of disjointed, I think, because of the lack of screen time she got, where it didn't feel as rewarding a recovery arc. It comes with the issue of the fact that the show has so many main characters. Like Ren and Nora got so much screen time this season, which I'm not complaining about. I loved their stuff. Like, now they're actually proper characters. They needed that.
I thought there was,
but then it's taken it away from like RWBY.
I always thought there was such a air of mystery around Ren and Nora. I'm really, really happy that they dug into it, and I like the characters that they are. I also really like the fact of how much they developed with Raven, because they did it very well, because they didn't have much, but what they did have,
we know a lot more about her now than we did before.
The whole one rule thing, and
or just the weak die and the strong live.
She didn't do much, but what she did spoke a lot.
I think that's the thing. Like, as much as it's like, there's an issue with like screen time and like they don't have as much runtime as other TV shows. There is obviously that way where it's like you've just explained there. We know quite a lot about Raven, but she had so little time on screen. But they managed to kind of nail everything we needed to know in what felt like quite a natural conversation between her and Crow. We learned a lot about her character in just that conversation. So like, there is the Ren and Nora stuff was great. It was, other than Weiss's stuff, was the best part of the volume, which I wasn't expecting to go into the volume and get all their backstory and stuff, but it does make them so much more interesting as characters especially when you go back and watch any of the other volumes now, and you'll be like, the background that they have will add so much to their scenes that they're in.
I just wish that I wish that they'll do the same thing for Jean, because it's like they hinted at it, with Tyrion going,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sort of interested in you.
Yeah.
It's like...
A lot of people...
Oh.
But Jean's actually had quite a significant amount of screen time this
Screen
volume.
time, but nothing in context. It's all
I guess.
about who he is now, and I
Yeah.
sort of want to know... Why is he? Why is? It really annoys me that they didn't explain why Tyrion's interested in.
Oh, we'll get it at some point, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, I do think the next volume they'll probably have to cut back on his screen time and switch it around again to more. Because if RWBY are back together, like I think Team RWBY will get the bulk of the screen time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the volume was. Yeah, it was obviously a lot of setup for volume 5. I feel like with the villains, we're going to get to learn, like, who are introduced this volume. I feel like we're going to learn a lot more about them next volume in terms of that they're not actually cardboard cut-out villains like we think, especially
Yes.
Hazel. Especially Hazel, the one that helped Oscar. I feel like there's a lot more to his motivations than what we think.
Well, I think I always...
Tyrion's mental.
I always think that RWBY does that very well. They don't have... I'm an evil character to be evil. There's always a motivation. Torch was to just be on the winning side.
Yeah.
And although that is quite a hollow one.
Yeah, but then that was very his character.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where if Neo comes back.
She's confirmed to be coming back at some point. Yeah, RTX Sydney.
Well, how would they confirm that?
They did a RWBY panel, RTX Sydney. Someone asked, "Is Neo coming back?" And they were like, "Yeah, you'll see her at some point." So
okay.
She's coming back in some capacity. I wonder if it'll be a murderous capacity after what happened to Roman. She does have that psycho thing going on.
I was just thinking, like, if they confirmed the voice actress. And I was
Oh
like,
no!
I was like, wait, no.
Nah. How
But
would
yeah,
they confirm that?
I think it'll be interesting to see what Salem is all about.
We need to actually
there's a
see.
lot-
Yeah, we need to know more about her.
There's a lot. I heard the mystery surrounding her was definitely ramped up.
Yeah.
Like, we learned a lot about her, considering beforehand we just seen her face.
Yeah.
And now we can see she somehow has a control of the Grim to a great extent.
She creates.
She has
creates them.
Yeah, and she lives in a very strange place.
Yep. But I think that's what we're going to get next volume. I'm hoping is we get like more villains development and more Team RWBY development. That's definitely what I would like the most from next volume, which we'll talk about in another video, which we're going to film in like 5 seconds.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no! No, sorry.
Stop.
We're done with that.
Can you stop doing that? Flip sides, be seeing them. This is what happens when you do more than one video in a row.
Flip side. You know the drill.
Yeah, the Dremel. I also apologise for the noise of whatever I was messing with Blake, and I realised that I was quite near the recorder. So if you hear random plastic noises, it's these.
Just
Getting pissed
you gotta
about
rotate the body.
Rotate my body.
Not a song.